And I would like to call the Rock County Board of Supervisors meeting to order at this time. First item of business is invocation and pledge of allegiance. Will be led by Supervisor Mawini. Will we all stand, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is from the Red Skelton Hour. It's an original composition by Red Skelton. When I was a small boy in Vincennes, Indiana, I think, one of the most outstanding speeches I ever heard in my life. I think it compares with the Sermon on the Mount, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and Socrates' speech to the students. We had just finished reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Laswell, the principal of Vincennes High School, called us all together and he says, boys and girls, I've been listening to you recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems it has become monotonous to you. Or could it be you do not understand the meaning of each word? If I may, I would like to recite the pledge and give you a definition for each word. I, me an individual, a committee of one. Pledge, dedicate all of my worldly good to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and devotion. To the flag, our standard old glory, a symbol of courage, and wherever she waves, there is respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. Of the united, that means we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states, 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided by imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common cause, and that's love of country. And to the republic, a sovereign state in which power is invested into the representatives chosen by the people to govern. And the government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. Our nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power for one to live his own life without fears, threats of any sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle and qualities of dealing fairly with others, for all. That means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance, under God. With that, I'd like to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is roll call.
Bob Zine. Here. Belkey. Bostwick. Here. Bryan.
Here.
Cullen.
Yes.
Fugelseth.
Here.
Gorman.
Present.
Holman.
Here.
Knutson.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Mawini.
Here.
Peer.
Present.
Pennycook.
Here.
Rashkin.
Here.
Ringhan.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Scholes.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Stevens. Stone.
Here.
Sutter.
Here.
Sutherland.
Here.
Tillman.
Here.
Towns.
Here.
Whitledge.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Woodman.
Here.
Levy.
Here.
27 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is 4, consent agenda. 4A, adoption of agenda. 4B, approval of minutes from October 9th, 2025. C1, appointments to the Board of Adjustment. D1, recognizing Amanda Schwartz. E1, approving award of opioid settlement funds for the basic needs funding. E2, establishment of an ongoing Rock County Youth in Governance Program. E3 is being pulled from the agenda. Paul's not here, so we're going to wait till he can be here. And that is the end of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Would anyone like anything removed from the consent agenda? Supervisor Schwartz.
Thanks, Chair. 4E2.
4E2. Would anybody else like anything else removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there approval for the rest of the consent agenda? Motion by Tillman. Is there a second? Second by Mawini. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving that portion of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, item 5, public hearing. We do not have a public hearing this evening. Item 6, citizen participation, communications, and announcements. We do have one person signed up to speak this evening. Max Olson, please come up to the front, up to the podium. You'll state your name and municipality, and you'll be given 2 minutes to speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Max Olson. I'm from Milton. I'm a junior at Milton High School, and I'm a participant in the Rock County Youth and Governance Program. So I'm assigned to the staff committee, and I'm speaking in support of the resolution to establish an ongoing Rock County Youth and Governance Program. Thus far, the Youth and Governance Program has given me several valuable insights into a number of different areas. I've been able to learn a lot about the county's organization, the county's way of doing business, and as a matter of fact, just meeting, and how something starts off as one supervisor's idea and becomes policy, becomes an ordinance, becomes something that's added to the budget, and obviously that's something that's coming a little later in the year. But another area that's been really interesting for me, and I'll just use a specific example, I know I don't have too much time, is the highway fund. I'm sure you're all pretty familiar with that situation, and it's just been interesting for me to sit back and just observe as solutions came up with, as administration meets with supervisors, and as solutions are devised, and as a way is found to find a solution to that problem, because it's a pretty significant problem. So it's been very interesting to learn about that, especially. More about the logistics of the program itself, we have a mentorship section. Supervisor Peer has been an incredible resource, and I've had questions. Obviously, he's pretty experienced. He's been on the board for a while. And the program overall has just been a positive impact. I've learned so much, and I think that it's an incredible opportunity for Rock County's youth, and I would urge you all to support the resolution to make it a permanent program. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the last person that's signed up to speak. Is there anyone else that would wish to speak this evening?
Seeing none, is there any communication from supervisors this evening? Seeing none, any communication from staff? Seeing none, next item, please.
Next item, item 7, we do not have any additional nominations, appointments, or confirmations. Item 8, recognition of county employees or others. 8A, recognizing Lori Fisher.
Is there a motion? Motion by Muini, is there a second? Second by Woodman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Supervisor Muini. Supervisor Towns.
This is one of the more fun things we do, and we get to see our wonderful employees. This is Lori Fisher, and she has served Rock County for more than 14 years. And tonight we're going to present her with a certification here, and with the resolution on it. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'm going to tell you what it says in it. And we'd like to honor Lori. She began her career with Rock County in July of 2011 as a Register of Deeds clerk, and then became a Register of Deeds specialist, but her specialty was actually vital records. And during the years, she issued many birth, marriage, and death certificates, and working closely with funeral directors, she issued hundreds of thousands of death certificates. That's hard to believe, but I know it's true. She gave excellent customer service to all of them and to the public, and she was a great asset to the Register of Deeds office. She always took pride in her work, and she was especially known to offer support to others. She regarded her coworkers with dedication, compassion, and empathy, and she will be greatly missed by all of them. So, therefore, as a representative of the citizens of Rock County, the board wishes to recognize Lori and thank her for her many years of good service, and we will miss you. So let's give her a round of applause. And I'm going to ask Sandy to step forward because she probably knows her way better than I do.
So as you probably know, the Register of Deeds is in charge of maintaining our land records and vital records. And we're here to thank Lori for her years of service. Her specialty was vital records, like Supervisor Towns said. And vital records was what we like to call Lori land. Lori was always very organized, making a spreadsheet or a binder for everything. She always had a good idea to make our historic records more accessible and more searchable. One of the projects she worked on was digitizing the Veterans Discharge Records, or otherwise known as DD-214s. She scanned and indexed them by name, and it was one of her goals to finish this important project to preserve the veterans' records before she retired. And you completed that last year, you and Shannon did. She created many Excel spreadsheets to find it a little bit easier to find your great-grandmother's birth certificate. Also, her prior experience at a flower shop made her our resident flower arranger and plant doctor. Lori was here when we created escrow accounts for our funeral homes, making it easier and more efficient for them to order death certificates. She maintained relationships with them and assisted them with their many orders. We ran a report, and over the years, Lori has collected more than $1.8 million in vital records. That's a lot. I was always impressed by her patience and kindness when working with the public, and I will miss you. Thank you. Did you want to say anything?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And next item, please.
Next item, item 9, introduction of new resolutions or ordinances by supervisors for referral to appropriate committee.
At this time, any supervisor has any new resolution or ordinance they would like to present, please bring it forward at this time. Thank you. And then when you get your seat, I'll give you a couple minutes to speak to it.
Thank you, Chair. This is a resolution condemning political violence, calling on elected officials to refrain from inflammatory rhetoric. We're witnessing a growing comfort with political violence like we have never experienced in our lifetimes. In the aftermath of a recent shooting of a prominent conservative leader, as well as Minnesota elected officials and school shootings, we have witnessed some elected officials and media figures using their highly visible public platforms to promote language that poured gasoline onto an already volatile situation. They not only make it more dangerous for their political opponents, but also for anyone like you or me who gives of their time in an elected office. They make it more dangerous for concerned citizens who choose to exercise their First Amendment rights of free speech and peaceful assembly. This is why we are bringing this resolution condemning political violence forward today. With this resolution, we are hoping to turn down the political temperature. No matter who we love or how we worship, we as Americans believe that everyone is entitled to the same rights. We took an oath to uphold the Constitution, which spells out those rights. And all of us in this room just now affirmed our allegiance to one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I hope you will join me not only in supporting this resolution, but additionally with what each of us can do in this role at all our other roles we have in our community to set an example of how we can disagree productively and how we can ensure that everyone who lives in this country does not need to be afraid of what they say or who they are.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, next item, please.
Next item, item 10, reports. 10A, Rock County Parks Outdoor Recreation and Open Space Poros Plan. John Trainer.
John Trainer.
Thank you.
Good.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
So those of you that were on the board here 5 years ago, we already went through this once, and we've gone through it many times. But that being said, we're here again tonight. So Rock County has a Parks, Outdoor Recreation, and Open Spaces Plan. It needs to be redone every 5 years in order for us to stay compliant with DNR grants and other things of the such. That being said, I'm actually going to keep it nice and short and sweet and turn it over to the gentleman with all the power here tonight, Mr. Ben. This is Ben Rohr with Vanderwall. He is our hired consultant to help us through this porous plan. He is going to be doing a presentation on it here tonight for y'all. I did leave a copy in front of everybody's desk too that you can review it. If you have any questions, obviously we're getting to the final steps here of this plan. That being said, hopefully no major things come out of tonight's meeting, and we'll be able to bring back in November the resolution for the approval of this plan, which has to accompany the plan in order for us to have full 100% DNR approval. So that being said, I'll turn it over to Mr. Ben.
Well, thank you, John, and great to be here. As John mentioned, we were the consultants who led this effort in 2020, excuse me, and it was a virtual Zoom meeting that we did back then, so glad to be here in person. Wanted to provide you all with an update, overview of the plan that we have drafted thus far, provide you a little bit of insight in relationship to where we're at and the progress that we've done. And ultimately, while it does say adoption on there today, this is an informational meeting. And like John mentioned, we'll be seeking adoption in about a month from now. So wanted to provide you a little bit of context as to how we got here. In terms of the planning process, it started with a variety of kickoff meetings with the committee, with staff, with stakeholder focus group interviews, and then individual park tour visits. We took all of that information to update the draft plan that we worked through into the summer. From there, we refined the draft plan through a variety of different ways. One being we met with both the Public Works Committee and the Parks Committee to walk through it and gather some more insight. We held a public review opportunity both online and in person throughout September, made some strategic edits to the plan, and then sought a recommendation from the committee just a couple of weeks ago, and that's the draft that you have before you today. So throughout the process, we enlisted the help of the public to help us draft the plan. This included, like I mentioned, Public Works Committee and Parks Committee meetings that were hosted throughout the process, open to the public, and several stakeholders also involved throughout that. Focus group listening sessions, we took the time to gather input directly from many of the people who are most interested in the parks themselves in relationship to some of the friends groups who invest a lot of time and energy into the parks, in addition to other stakeholders from different ranging amenity focus areas. Then throughout September, like I mentioned, we did an in-person in-person draft review open house, which was held at Rock River Heritage Park, in addition to an online opportunity, which was a survey and a video summary that was posted to the website. If you've had a chance to glance through the project or through the plan itself, what we did in this version is tried to pull out a lot of that background information, public input, and put it into an appendix. This was an attempt to streamline the document itself, to make it more functional, to make it more user-friendly, and hopefully be more of a document that a lot of people are engaged with and have interest in. Won't walk through every single chapter, but wanted to hit some of the highlights for you. Within the chapter 2 is the public input and process. That's the overview of how we got here, what I just showed on some of the slides, in addition to the feedback that we received. Obviously, not a ton has changed in relationship to existing conditions, other than obviously the updates that have been made to the parks themselves since 2020, in addition to the Rock River Heritage Park acquisition. Several of the overarching goals, vision, strategies did remain relevant from 2020 with some strategic amendments within those. And then we focused a lot of our energy within the analysis and the recommendation sections, and I'll spend a little time talking about those sections individually. Within the plan, and I know you can't read this on the screen, but we created what's called a vision graphic. What the attempt of this graphic is to do is summarize the entirety of the plan within a single document. And so what we've done is the vision statement for the Rock County Parks Division, and the park plan itself is listed on the top. And then individually, each of the overarching goals are listed with some strategies and opportunity areas. We've also, in that circle, enlisted sort of a data summary of how many parks are in Rock County and the number of acres, not only that Rock County owns and maintains, but overall throughout the community. In the top blue table is how we categorize the parks within the plan. So this goes from regional being the biggest park that you guys have, things like Beckman Mill, things like Rock River Heritage that provide a lot of different amenities, cover a larger service area. Community open space areas are a little bit smaller and typically just have either an active or passive specified use. Special areas are even more singular focused, where they have things like maybe a boat launch, for example. And then multi-use trail corridors, the Ice Age Trail, for example. Water trails are an added component just of our analysis. While Rock County doesn't own and maintain the water trails, the rivers, the creeks, the streams, the opportunities for people to connect throughout the county are portions of the Rock County Park System in terms of boat launches and things like that. So finally, at the bottom of the screen, we've summarized that for you in relationship to the number of total parks within each of those categories. There's 22 total parks within the Rock County Park System that total approximately 1,100 acres. And what we do in park planning purposes is look at the number of acres per 1,000 residents. And this is a helpful comparison tool for us in relationship to other communities. And so right now, Rock County is providing 6.7 acres per 1,000 residents. And in a couple of slides, I'll show you how that compares to some other counties. A new aspect of this plan is park user data. Now, admittedly, this is one segment of park users, but this is the data we have available at this time in relationship to shelter rentals. And this is something that the Rock County Parks Division actively tracks. What you can see over time is that we've had nearly 1,500 shelter rentals between 2017 and 2024. And generally on that graph, you see an increase over time. And so these are strong indicators that the park system has value, it's being utilized, and it's just one aspect, like I mentioned, but it does give us a perspective of when people are using the parks and how many people are using it. It also coincides with permit fees for those park shelter rentals, which has generated over $170,000 in revenue over that period of time. This was the comparison table, like I mentioned. So what we did is we took 3 counties that have a slightly larger population than Rock County, and then 3 counties that have a slightly smaller population to compare and contrast the number of parks, locations, number of acres, and expenditures. What you'll see on this graph is that the Rock County Park System has more physical locations of parks, meaning that there's more parks in the system, but there is less acreage. So a lot more smaller parks than other comparable counties. Additionally, we looked at total expenditures, and what you'll find is Rock County is on the lower end of the spectrum in relationship to that aspect of things. Now, I do want to caveat all of this information. It is hard to do an apples-to-apples comparison between different county government departments. As you're probably aware, a lot of counties are structured slightly differently and have different operational functions within those departments and different focus areas. Maybe they have more state parks, for instance, or maybe they have a museum that they run. So it isn't an apples to apples comparison, but it does give us perspective when we're looking at not only the system as a whole, but funding it moving forward. So we also looked at geographical service areas, and that's what's shown in purple. And so we use these buffer areas to gauge where we think the population is being served in relationship to the existing park facilities within Rock County. Now, this is only looking at the parks that Rock County provides and maintains and owns. Obviously, there are other parks beyond just these facilities, but for the purposes of this plan, we're only looking at those parks. What we've identified is, in particular, there is a gap in the northeast corner of the county, and this is something that was identified in the last plan. And if an opportunity presents itself for a new park in this area to cover that gap in that service area, it is prioritized in the plan as an opportunity area. Additionally, we took that a step further and looked at the geographical population density, and that's what you see in this heat map. So the population concentrations are shown in red and yellow. Not surprisingly, those are concentrated in areas where you have the largest population in the Janesville, Beloit, Evansville incorporated communities. And if you're looking at it from the perspective of where those service area gaps are located, what you will see is in blue, those smaller population percentages in terms of density are where some of those gaps occur. Now, this doesn't mean that it's not a priority, it's just another perspective in relationship to looking at where those gaps are. We also want to look at projected need. That's what this plan is for. It's to look out 10, 20 years into the future. And so what we've established through the plan is a recommended service that continues the 6.7 acres per 1,000 residents that we are providing in terms of a level of service today. So we did some population projections based off of the last 30, 40 years of population growth changes within Rock County and said, well, if the population grows over the next 10 to 20 years, how many park acres would we need to continue providing that level of service? What that equated to is about 40 acres over the next 10 years and 75 acres over the next 20 years. Now, this isn't a document that says we have to do this or we'll get punished in some capacity or something like that. The DNR isn't looking over our shoulder to say, did you acquire 40 acres? What it's really illustrating is a goal. And it's saying that over this period of time, we're trying to maintain that level of service that we're providing today. And if the population increases, that would mean the acquisition of new parks to facilitate that level of service moving forward. I will note, with the acquisition of Rock River Heritage Park, we went from a level of service standard in 2020 of 5.0 acres per 1,000 residents up to a level of service at now at 6.7. So you are providing a higher level of service with that new acquisition than previous plan analysis. Finally, the focus area of the plan is the recommendations, the capital improvements planning, ideas for how those budgeting processes can look moving forward, and the implementation action items. In summary, some of the big picture recommendations, like I mentioned at the beginning, that shelter rental data, I find that to be very valuable understanding one particular aspect of park user information, but I think that could be significantly more robust than what it is today. And there's examples of other counties out there that are actively tracking the park user data in a variety of different formats. And so we've presented those ideas within the plan, and we think that that could be bolstered over this time period. And what that data would enable us to do is say we have that new data in 5 years when we update this plan, we'd be able to get a bigger understanding or a better understanding of what the park user profile looks like, what the kind of impacts are in relationship to the population and who's using the parks, funding that's being generated, revenue that's being generated, activities that are being generated, interest, all of those types of things. As you are aware, there are many friends groups that help support the park system. They provide volunteer hours in terms of maintenance and provide different activities within the parks. Now, with a lot of volunteer groups that you are probably familiar with, they are aging, meaning that a lot of them have less capabilities to do a lot of the things that they could in the past. and they are not acquiring new volunteers. This is a struggle for a lot of different groups. However, there's going to be a point in time in the not too distant future where if those groups end up going away, then it comes to the county to decide, do we continue to provide that level of service? If so, that may mean investment in a lot more resources. If the alternative is that we don't want those groups to go away, then what the alternative could look like is trying to maintain that sustainability, bring new people into the fold, and get them invested within the park system before those parks friends groups go away. As a prioritization element of a lot of different feedback we heard, continue to expand and connect the trail system is something of high importance. There's strategic improvements to each park identified, and obviously as funding permits, those would be ideas in ways to improve each park. Awareness, marketing, programming, all of those things go hand in hand with generating additional people in attendance at the parks using those parks that we offer. And so there's a variety of different ways that we can go about continuing to do that. In addition to what I wanted to mention is a park evaluation tool. And so this is a tool that we created back in the 2020 plan to quantitatively be able to look at a new potential park acquisition scenario and say, how well does it reflect the plan, the goals, the things that we've put into this document? And we ultimately used that as part of the Rock River Heritage acquisition. And it proved to be a successful, it wasn't the deciding factor, obviously, but it was another tool and another way for you all and different committees to judge the different aspects that go into consideration when park acquisition opportunities present themselves. And so we retain that tool. Whether you'll end up using it or not, we'll see. But generally speaking, it did provide and come to fruition in terms of being an informational aspect of a successful acquisition over that time period. And then finally, master plans. These provide an opportunity to take a much deeper dive into individual parks themselves and get into the fine-grained details. And there's opportunities to do that in a variety of different parks throughout the planning process, or over the plan period and beyond. So this is just the recommended trail network map. What we've done is pull a lot of different information from other recommended maps, things that are produced by regional MPOs, different communities. But in particular, what we wanted to highlight was the Ice Age Trail connection from the east to the west. This has been a long-standing goal for not only Rock County, but the Ice Age Trail Alliance and many other groups throughout the community. While it's still a work in progress, we wanted to reflect it in the plan. So if there is an opportunity to pursue further implementation of this plan or that opportunity, those two things mirror one another. Finally, there's implementation. I did want to note that the Rock County Parks Division has completed over 25 projects in the parks over the last 5 years. We've documented all of those things. And so that continues to show an investment by the county within its existing park system. Obviously, we have new opportunities or continued opportunities to maintain and improve those parks that are identified throughout the plan. And those are included within both the action items and the proposed or recommended capital improvements plan that's listed within the document. So with that said, I'll answer any questions, provide any clarifications, and I appreciate your time this evening.
And before we open up for any questions, just remember this will come back to us in the form of a resolution in November. So if you have have questions this evening, feel free to reach out to the county administrator for additional information needed. But is there any quick questions this evening that someone may have? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Next item, please.
Next item, 11. We're going to go to 4E2, acknowledging establishment of an ongoing Rock County Youth and Governance Program.
Is there a motion for that before we go to discussion? Motion by Sutter and second by Mawhinney. Any questions or comments? Supervisor Schwartz, I believe.
Thanks, Chair. Reason I pulled this off consent, I brought this up to staff. The idea that we need a second committee to handle the small number of people in the program just seems odd to me. I'm not sure why this cannot just be handled by Veterans and Education or a different committee. So I think the idea that we need another committee to spend money on, it just seems to be a little too much. So that's where I'm sort of questioning, why is it that we can't fold this into a different committee?
Okay. Any other questions? Supervisor Cullen, did you have a question, or you just?
Yes, I did, Mr. Chair. I just haven't thought of it yet. How do we come up with the $5,000? We have been in this program I totally agree with. It's been in operation for a year, and they want to support costs related to the orientation of youth participants and supervisor mentors. What expenses have we occurred in the last year that would warrant us giving them $5,000? It seems like a lot, and where's besides a field trip to Madison, where's the money going? Do
Supervisor
we have
Wilson.
any plan that way, or where do we come up with $5,000?
Okay, Supervisor Wilson, I think there's a couple questions out there for you.
Sure, and I'll address a couple of them as the chair of the current ad hoc committee. I would agree with first with Supervisor Schwartz's idea that eventually this program needs to be with a standing committee. You'll note that the resolution does describe an ad hoc committee moving forward at this point. We did interact with some of the likely standing committees, and the feeling that came back from those committees, while they were supportive of the program, they weren't quite ready to take on the, I guess, the structure of the program in terms of carrying out things like recruitment and so on. I think our kind of nail in the coffin ended up being that there's currently a vacancy in the Extension Office, and the Extension Office has helped us with the recruitment, the setting up of the website for people to apply, doing the applications, redacting the personal information so that we could blindly study those and so on. So the idea is that there will be a further recommendation coming eventually from the ad hoc committee with a particular committee for this to go to. As far as the dollar amount, we've been kind of existing with a hope and a prayer through this year. We have collected a number of dollars. All of the monies for buying lunches and materials, T-shirts for the kids and so on, has all been contributed, much of it by the chair of the committee. And the trip to Madison, we've been sort of waiting. We're scheduling that for January with the hope that dollars will be available. The students themselves really liked the idea, and at the orientation session, the idea of the trip to the Capitol was one of the things that they brought up and mentioned. Supervisor Towns has done some legwork to arrange for meeting with the people from the Wisconsin Counties Association during that visit, so a very robust kind of a visit. But there will be transportation costs, there will be costs for a meal, and when we get together for things like the orientation and for this field trip, it's not just the participants, it's the participants as well as the supervisors who are serving as the mentors for the program. The dollar amount does include an amount, as I understand it, in conversing with County Administrator Light, money for paying the per diem for the committee as well. And so that approximates the $5,000. If we can get by with less, we certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Supervisor Sutherland?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure everybody reading the exploratory committee's recommendations for this program would agree that it has many benefits. And I'd just like to emphasize those benefits, if I may, and that is the disconnect between youth and older adults. In our recent survey returns from the comp plan, where approximately 10% of between 19 and 25-year-olds, they represent 10% of the county. And very little responded. Now, we're going to redirect and try to get a better response from that group, but I'm on planning and development, and you need to have input from youth who are the future to plan for the future. And this program, Youth in Government, is a good bridge to start that in a very healthy way. I would hope that everybody would see that, and as Mr. Wilson, Supervisor Wilson said, the 5,000 isn't what, how should I say, isn't exactly what we need. It's not that we're going to spend all that, but it'll keep the program alive with the paperwork and everything else that is involved. Thank you.
Supervisor Bob Zane?
Thank you. I've been to a few of the Youth in Government meetings, and I appreciate the communications from Supervisor Wilson regarding this program and the report he gave last month. I would love to see this funded, and I'd vote to see this funded, but could this program be, like Mr. Wilson suggested, folded into another committee, and they accept that, or is that a parliamentary thing that we do as a county board? Or could this program be a line item in the community initiatives budget of the administration? Just a thought. Thank you so much.
Supervisor Holman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Understanding the significance of the youth to learn about government and internal workings within, not knowing what is being taught in civics classes throughout our county, but I would imagine it probably pales to what these young people are getting by actually showing up at board meetings. I was amazed by the young man's address to the public of the board today and the public that is here on the value that is received thus far. And listening to that, isn't that what we should be doing as a county, is maybe showing the youth that government is working and this is how it works. I'm sure there's a fair amount of people that have come into this county board, and I will have to say I'm one. When you came onto it, you think you know a lot about government. You hope you know something about government, but then all of a sudden you come in here and it slaps you across the chops. And it's like, sit back, be quiet, learn a little bit before you go off in your little tangents, as they were. But I was taught that by one of our supervisors. So, but it's to listen to what is being proclaimed by the youth. Didn't that say it all? Really? It did. To me, yes. Our civics classes, what are they teaching? Well, I don't know. But what we teach the youth and how government works, doesn't that make them a better citizen? Doesn't that make them a better, maybe future county board supervisor or city council person or state assembly person or wherever their hopes and dreams take them? I'm so supportive of this. I think that what is being asked for thus far is not out of line. It's not ill-appropriated money. It's a very good, solid idea. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone, Supervisor Towns?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to add my voice to the success of this past year. It turned out way better than I thought it was going to, and I would like to see it continue. Yes, there was some financial contributions that, from individuals and groups that kind of made it float, and so hence, I think $5,000, I don't know if that's the right amount or if that's too much or whatever it would be, that, but there is some minor expense to it. I would also add, just because it kind of came up in Supervisor Wilson's comments, that I think maybe the committee at some point needs to meet with the chairman and the administrator, because I think the appropriate place for this is to go into a standing committee somewhere. But that obviously is not our purview either. That would need to be a discussion with leadership and administration. So I hope in the next few months we can, if this moves forward, we can have that discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Supervisor Peer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say the bit that I was involved with the program, I considered it an honor and a privilege to be involved at all. I think I don't like to see so much conflict or competition for different parts in the budget, and it almost ends up like you're taking sides or that kind of a thing. I'm looking at this more like it's like the young man that went up to the podium earlier and talked. I mean, you know that young man is what we like to see youth be. And he wants his chance to continue in that and like-minded. So it's an honor and a privilege to reinforce those that believe in the values that we have and will make the future better. It's an investment. It's not exactly dollars and cents. We have to look at that because we have a limit. But I think it's that segment of the student population's turn to be recognized instead of maybe the other ones who even have a louder voice at times. We support those programs. I think it's their turn. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we do have a first and a second. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Do we have two nay? I'm just double checking. Okay.
One or two.
But that did pass, and before we go to the next agenda, I would ask the county administrator if we could look at the calendar and get something real soon where we can talk to them. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is item 12, adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Boswig, second by Woodman. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none,